In this day and age, it's hard to find a smartphone that can't record 1080p video. And if you have a flagship device like this one, the Huawei P10, you can capture 4K video as well. While that means you get super high resolution video files, it's not a guarantee that those files will be smooth. Some devices come with optical image stabilization, which removes the jitters and the shakes from your hand while you're holding the device. But that really only works while you're standing still. If you're walking around, pretty much all bets are off. So, if you want to step up your video game, you'll want to invest into something like this, the DJI Osmo Mobile. If you're not familiar, a gimbal like this has multiple motors and internal sensors which keep the camera stabilized while you're walking and moving around. In other words, magic. So, let's see how this thing works and if it's actually worth the investment. Setup is simple. You just mount the phone, adjust the arm to make sure it's balanced, install the DJI Go app on your smartphone, and then turn on the gimbal. All that's left is hitting the record button. And here's the results. On the left, you see the stabilized shot using the LG G6 and the Osmo Mobile. And on the right, you see the handheld shot taken with the Huawei P10. The P10 does have optical image stabilization, but as you can see, it really doesn't play into effect when you're walking down the street, especially when you're running. The gimbal does work on its own, but there are a few manual controls. The trigger on the back has two purposes. If you hold it, the Osmo Mobile will keep your phone pointed in the same direction at the same horizontal axis. This is handy when you're trying to walk around obstacles or trying to get a walking side shot while maintaining the camera's same position. The second thing the trigger is used for is resetting the position of the camera. Just hold the gimbal in the position that you want and then double tap the trigger. That's all it takes. This means that you can use the Osmo Mobile in a variety of different angles. My favorite is what some people call flashlight mode. Hold the Osmo Mobile like you're holding the flashlight at something in front of you and then double tap the trigger. You get a nice low angle, making the shot a lot more interesting than if you were holding it at eye level. And if you want, the Osmo Mobile can also hold your phone in portrait mode. I guess this is useful for Instagram or Snapchat, but I'm really not sure why anyone would want to invest in something like this just so that they could post better snaps. Seriously. The second manual control is the little joystick which is used to move around the camera while it's on the gimbal. It's fun to play around with, but it's really meant for small refinements rather than actually following your subject, since it's pretty slow. If you're using the DJI Go app to record, you can also use the record and capture buttons on the Osmo Mobile. But the only time you should actually be using DJI's app is to record motion time-lapse videos. For some reason, DJI's app is limited to 1080p, so you won't be able to capture in 4K if your device supports it. Honestly, that's not a huge loss, since you're probably more familiar with your phone's camera app than you will ever be with DJI's. But don't get me wrong, the DJI Go app is still worth having just for the motion time-lapse abilities. To use the feature, switch over to video mode and then select motion time-lapse. Choose where you want to record your time-lapse and set the Osmo Mobile down. It can balance on its own, but I recommend connecting it to a tripod since it's not that sturdy. You'll then select the different points that you want the Osmo Mobile to pan to during the time-lapse. Set the frame interval and length of the video, and then hit the record button. The Osmo Mobile moves the camera perfectly, allowing you to follow a storm as it rolls through, or even follow the sun as it sets in the evening. The end results are stunning. The only other thing you should use the DJI Go app for is object tracking. The feature does exactly what it sounds like. Highlight the object that you want to track, and the Osmo Mobile will track that device and try to keep it in the middle of the frame as best as possible. It works for the front and rear-facing cameras, but it would be great if there was a way you could use it with the main camera for vlogging. There's a lot to like about the DJI Osmo Mobile. If you're looking to capture better video with your smartphone, I highly recommend it. But for roughly $300, it's not exactly cheap. For me, that puts it into the nice to have rather than the must have category. I'm going to close out this video with a few more clips captured with the LG G6 while stabilized with the Osmo Mobile. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.